Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of the suffering servant passage. And we're still in that section where God is addressing Babylon directly and saying, "You're going to be judged yourself." Two of the last writing minor prophets before the captivity, Habakkuk and Zephaniah, particularly Zephaniah, record God speaking directly about Babylon, speaking directly to Babylon, describing their sins and predicting, promising that they will be punished. And as we mentioned last time, although if Isaiah is writing this, he lives during the time of Hezekiah. This is happening decades before the ascendancy of Babylon over Assyria, let alone the flourishing of the empire. That the Babylonian Empire was indeed brief. It was just long enough to be that period of time, that to include that 70 years, with the tail end being among the Persians, of captivity that God predicted for his people as necessary to cleanse them and make them ready to come home and prepare for the Messiah. And so today he's continuing to say, "Who is like me?" which is one of the threads that we've talked about last time that are weaving themselves together. There's the servant himself, his suffering and his victory and his faithfulness to God's plan. There is the necessity of Babylonian captivity. There is the punishment of the Babylonians because no one is like God. God himself is singular. There's only one God. And this is one of those passages. And then there is the coming home, the restoration. That God is Father, we are his children, and he's going to bring his children home. This is a section in which he is communicating that nobody is like him, which we started last time. So verse 8, chapter 46. Remember this and be assured. Recall it to mind, you transgressors. Remember the former things long past. For I am God. There is no other. I am God. There is no one like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things which have not been done, saying, My purpose will be established, and I will accomplish all my good pleasure, calling a bird of prey from the east, the man of my purpose from a far country. Truly I have spoken. I will bring it to pass. I have planned it, and I will do it. God's plan is irrevocable. God will accomplish his immutable will, period. And he can do it in such a variety of ways. He can call a bird of prey from the east. This dredges up all sorts of visions of invading armies who can come from the east. And they would come from the east. They wouldn't come from the west. The west is the Mediterranean Sea. Who would come from the east to carry his people away. Or he could rise up a deliverer from a far country. There are a variety of ways I can accomplish my plan, and I'll use all these tools to do it, God is saying. And remember this, count on this. Um, I am God. There's only one God, and it is me. And I think this is a distinction we need to see, because this is an important distinction for them to make. There are two biblical artifacts, or many biblical artifacts, but there are two particular biblical artifacts I want to refer to today that are in the British Museum, and you can go there and look at them if you want to go to London. One is the Mesha stone, the Mesha stela, and one is the Cyrus cylinder. And the Mesha stone recalls that moment when King Mesha of Moab sacrificed his own son whenever the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom had allied against him. And it was an act that was so shocking that the armies withdrew. And you can read about this in Kings and Chronicles, Second Kings and Second Chronicles. And he wrote about this victory. And you can find the text online. Look up Mesha stone, Mesha stone, or stela, Stele. And you can find the text. And it is a declaration that their God, and they were a monotheistic people, Chemosh, had defeated the God of the Israelites, Yahweh. And it is a celebration of victory over Yahweh. The Cyrus cylinder delivers the decree of Cyrus, 536 BC, the decree of Cyrus, which set not only the Jews free to go home and rebuild, but declared all of the peoples who had been held captive by the Babylonians, had the right to go back to their homelands and to take with them, their religious objects, and instructed them to worship their local gods. And in this cylinder, Marduk, the god, and the Persians are monotheists too. They have one god, Ahura Mazda, but sometimes he's associated with Marduk. But anyway, he sees their one god as the great god. Their God, their one God, is the great God. He's the one true God. He's the one true God that is over all the other deities. But the local peoples have their deities that they worship too, and they should be allowed to do it. And both of these artifacts contain the notion people had that even if they weren't polytheists, even if they had one God they worshipped, that God was their God, and he was in a multiplicity of local gods. And their God would go to battle against someone else's God and maybe emerge victorious. And so that was in their mind. That was in the mind of Cyrus. God says, no, there's one God, and it's me. And I accomplish my will, and no one can get in the way. We'll pick up and finish that chapter next time. Thank you for joining me for 5 good minutes.